Hi guys! So, 5 times I've tried to record this. So we're just gonna go for it. Today I come to you with a book haul because between August and the beginning of September I've actually acquired quite a few books. The 2nd of September is actually my birthday, and being a bookish person, books tend to happen. And I'm definitely not complaining because I'm truly grateful for all the books that I've gotten because I love books. Can you tell? I haven't made a video in quite a while. I was actually away at the weekend because it was my birthday. I will maybe talk about that a bit more at the end of this video, but for now let's jump right in. So the first book that I acquired in August, and I'm really excited about because it was the first book that I've ever gotten of this author, and I actually have read it, and that was Colorless, Tsukuru Tazaki and His Years of Pilgrimage by Murakami. It's my first Murakami! It's been a very long time. I definitely should have read Murakami before now. As you may or may not know, I'm not too sure, I think most people are familiar with the fact that Murakami is very famous for writing in a very magical realism kind of settings, and this book I did pick up because of Chauncey's independent book video about this, because she loved it so much and she related with it so much, and the things that she was saying I got, so I felt like I had to read it, and I'm so glad that I've picked it up. But I will talk about it more in my wrap up. But for now I will tell you that yes, it is a book that is set within a magical realism setting. It deals with issues of friendships, their complexities, and how ultimately the breakdown of relationships and how sometimes that is inexplicably inexplainable. And he beautifully describes loss and grief, but more to the point, he poetically describes loneliness. So I highly recommend, and I will talk about it more in my wrap up. The next book that I then slightly more weirdly acquired, I got for 50p in a charity shop, but it wasn't the only reason that I bought it. I kind of have a reason. I will show you. Njal Sagas, which is also known as the Burnt Sagas. This is Icelandic literature that was written in the 13th century, I do believe, and it chronicles events that happened between 960 to 1040. You may be asking, why Tasha? Why did you pick this up? And that's a very, very good question. I slightly came into contact with the Njal Sagas at the end of last year, towards the end of my semester, whenever I was studying for my exams. Because as you may or may not remember, last year I was studying an introduction to medieval Ireland. And to do with that, one of our exam topics was to do with the Battle of Clontarf, and specifically to do with a certain rather epic female character's involvement that led to the Battle of Clontarf, known as Gormla. And Gormla is mentioned in the Njal Sagas. So I was interested, seeing it, and had to pick it up because I remember I only ever came into this much contact with it because that's all that was relevant. But yeah, she was a pretty kick-ass woman, let me see. She was the most beautiful woman and showed the best qualities in all matters that were not in her own power, but in all those that were. People said she showed herself of an evil disposition. Yep. Gormla was forever egging on her own son Cedric to slay King Brian, and she sent him to the Earl Sigurd to ask for his support. Essentially, what happened was she sent her son to Earl Sigurd, and that basically she said to him, and then he came back, and she was happy that he had promised herself in marriage to Earl Sigurd for his support, then told him, "That's great, son. Now go get the Vikings. Promise them the same thing if you have to, but go get Vikings. Go get all the support you can, and let's go kill your stepfather." Essentially, that's what she did. I won't get into too much details with this. Who knows if I'll actually read it, but it was 50p, and I was supporting the kick-ass woman. That's what I was doing. The next book that I also picked up in a charity shop was The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy and Other Stories by Tim Burton. And I will admit, I just bought this because it was Tim Burton. I didn't know if it was going to be good or not. And I have actually read this. I will talk about it in my wrap up. But it's just so cute and in a dark, sinister, creepy way because, you know, Tim Burton. It's got actually quite colourful illustrations throughout in their dark and creepiness. But yeah, Tim Burton Had to buy it. That's logical, right? The next book that I got, thanks to Amazon's £2.80 shipping, £1 book. It's amazing, I love that system. But in actually really good condition, I managed to get Ali Smith's Girl Meets Boy, and this has done the rounds on BookTube, and I've been curious and eyeing it up for a while, and now it's finally mine and I can finally read it. It is a part of the Canongate Mist series, and it is Ali Smith's retelling of one of Ovid's Metamorphosis story. I think it's Iphis it's called. Can't remember exactly if that's what it's called, but I'm really excited to see what all the fuss is about. I've never read an Ali Smith book before, so this is probably going to be my first. I'll just read this bit because I don't know how to describe it. So, it's about girls and boys, girls and girls, love and transformation, and story of puns and doubles, reversals and revelations. Funny and fresh, poetic and political, Girl Meets Boy is a myth of metamorphosis for the modern world. So I'm excited because I know it's in the setting of a water factory, which in itself, being within the modern world, modern day society, is quite a controversial thing. I do believe it's about a sister coming to terms with the fact that her sister is gay, and I'm really excited. I've only ever seen nothing but praise about this, so I'm really excited to go into it. I don't actually know much about it, and I kind of want to go into it blind, so hopefully it's going to be great. And what I would like to know, if anybody does happen to know, is should I read the Metamorphosis story before I read this, or should I just delve right in? Is it okay? Do I not need to read the piece by Ovid first? Because I'm not sure which to do, but I'm really excited when I finally can get to this. I don't know why I got this book. I do know why I got this book. I'll show you the book. The book I got next was The Girl Who Soared Over Fairyland and Cut the Moon in Two. This is the third book in the Fairyland series by Catherine M. Valente. I haven't read book 1 and 2. I don't own book 1 and 2. But I got this in Poundland for £1. And it's a beautiful hardback. So was I going to say no to getting a beautiful hardback in Poundland for £1? Most certainly not. I don't have the other two books, so now I'm going to have to find them. In all seriousness, I really have wanted to read the Fairyland series, and it is a middle grade fantasy series that has been beautifully constructed, apparently, I do not know because I have not read, by Catherine M. Valente, but I've only ever seen high praise for the series, and I'm really excited to finally get to it once I own the first 2 books. Just before my birthday, I decided to treat myself to 2 books, and one of those books was a graphic novel, and that graphic novel was Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. This has also been doing its rounds on the booktubes. Nimona began its life as a webcomic series, however, although you can get the first 3 chapters, I do believe, on Noelle Stevenson's website, it's now been beautifully published into this graphic novel. I will admit, I have read this. More on that, unfortunately, in my September wrap-up, because I read it on the 1st of September, so it's going to be a bit of a wait for my thoughts on this. Nimona is a beautiful anti-hero story. We follow the life of Nimona, who is the sidekick of Lord Blackheart, who challenge us in our beliefs of good and evil. Themselves as characters highlight issues with the world and so-called constructs that exist within society. Basically, if you like Wicked, or have interest in anything that I've ever mentioned in my Wicked videos, you're gonna like this one. Nemesis, dragons, science and symbolism, all these and more await in this brilliantly subversive, sharply irreverent epic by Noelle Stevenson. Definitely I highly recommend, but more in-depth discussion in my wrap-up. The next book that I then picked up, lo and behold, also has been doing its rounds on BookTube, and that book is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Look at that rose gold foiling. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? Yes, yes it is. In actual honesty, although lots of people have done a wrap up on this, have hauled this, I still feel really deliberately ignorant about it. I think I want to go into it blind because recently there has been a bit more mixed opinions coming out about this book, and I don't want that to influence me. I want to give it a chance, but it's so beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. From what I gather, it is about this little village that is surrounded by a rather dark and malevolent woods, and every 10 years the villagers have to sacrifice, as such, a young girl to go into servitude to this wizard who is called the dragon. This sacrifice is then in exchange for his protection that he provides them from the woods. In a sense, it's like choosing a lesser evil over a greater evil. In this story, our protagonist, who I don't know what she's called, and Agnieszka? Is that her name? Our protagonist and everybody in the village believes that our protagonist's best friend, who is this brave and graceful young girl, is going to be chosen in this year's 10-year sacrifice. But of course, that's not what happens. Somebody else is chosen. I think we can guess who. Don't you? I'm excited to give it a try. It's been on my radar for a very, very long time, mostly because it has a beautiful cover. Our dragon doesn't eat the girls he takes, no matter what the stories they tell outside our valley. We hear them sometimes from travellers passing through. They talk as though we are doing human sacrifice, and he were a real dragon. Of course that's not true. He may be a wizard and immortal, but he's still a man, and our fathers would band together and kill him if he wanted to eat one of us every 10 years. He protects us against the wood, and we're grateful, but not that grateful. I really am excited, so I'm hoping for good things. Then, as I have mentioned, it was my birthday and books happened, and I'm so truly, truly grateful, and I'm about to show you what I got for my birthday. First off, from my beautiful and wonderful dearest Nadine, she got me a comic again this year, as well as a book. I will show you the comic first. I believe this is a single issue, single run, which is Secret Wars, Secret Love. I have no idea. I feel really ignorant, and I don't like that I don't know. It's Marvel. There's a story about Squirrel Girl and Thor in it. Was it Squirrel Girl wins a date with Thor? I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to read this next. I'm excited. I love the style on the front. The next book that she extremely kindly got me, and I'm just not deserving of your love at all because this was too much. She got me this absolutely stunning edition of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie that's been published by HarperCollins. Look at it! It's beautiful. And not only throughout is it illustrated, it also has 10 interactive elements. I'm in love, and I don't deserve this. I don't deserve your kindness, and I cannot wait to visit Neverland in this beautiful, beautiful edition. The final two books were extremely kindly given to me by my mother, and actually this first book is a little bit of a cheat because I ordered this book for myself, and then I told her about how special this book was and the story behind it, and she thought, that sounds amazing, can I keep it and give it to you for your birthday? Thanks, Mum. That book that I'm talking about is A Portable Shelter by Kirsty Logan. It's so small and dinky, and it's beautifully got silver foiling, and it just looks absolutely stunning. I'm currently reading it as well, but I will be talking about this in my September wrap up. But what makes this book so special is it was a part of a limited 1,000 copy run, and unfortunately if you didn't get the book during the limited edition run, it has, I do believe, sold out now. However, you will be able to get a paperback version of it published by Vintage next year, which I highly recommend because, like I said, I'm currently reading it and I'm just in awe of Kirsty Logan's work. She just writes so beautifully. But this is a short story collection that is combined together to build this bigger picture, and I don't think I could describe it well enough, so I will read this first little page that kind of outlines it beautifully. In their tiny sea-beaten cottage on the north coast of Scotland, Liska and Ruth await the birth of their first child. They spend their time telling stories to the unborn baby, trying to pass on lessons they've learned. Tales of circuses and stargazing, silky fishermen and domestic werewolves, child-eating witches and broken-toothed dragons, but each must keep their storytelling a secret from the other, as they've agreed to only ever tell the plain truth. Ruth tells her stories when Liska is at work, to a background of shrieking seabirds. Liska tells hers when Ruth is asleep, with the lighthouse sweeping its steady beam through the window. As their tales build and grow along with their child, Liska and Ruth realise that the truth lives in their stories, and they cannot hide from one another. So, that's just so captivating. It's based around Scotland and Scottish mythology and folklore, and it's beautiful. And more of this in my September wrap-up if I don't make an independent video about it. But Kirsty Logan, you have to check out her work. She's just a beautiful writer. And finally, she also got me a beautiful book that I have been eyeing up for quite some time now, which is a beautifully illustrated picture book, which is The Fox and the Star by Coralie Bickford-Smith. Look at it, guys. Just look at it. This is a piece of art. This is a picture book that is written that can be both read by children and adults, as every good book should be, especially picture books. And I think this is going to be very profound and very relevant for me this year, because it is about a little fox whose only ever friend has been a star, and one night, Star goes missing. It's meant to be a tale that deals with loss and grief, and I'm probably going to cry when I read this. Whilst I cannot comment on the story at the minute, from flicking through I can confirm it is beautifully illustrated. Look at that full double page spread. It's just stunning. It's beautiful. So they were the books that I got for my birthday. Like I said, I'm sorry it's been a while since I've recorded. I'm just back from a trip. I went to London, but more importantly, I went to the Making of Harry Potter studio tour. I got to live my dream. I've got a vlog coming up about that. I got a wand, will you see? Thanks to my beautiful best friend Rachel, I got Luna's wand. I cried a lot. And I didn't want to leave, and I didn't want to come home, and if I could work there, I wouldn't come home. Because Hogwarts could always be my home. Hogwarts is always my home. I have to go back. So that was the books that I have bought between August and September, or were kindly gifted to me by family and friends. If you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up and let me know down in the comments below, have you read any of these books? Did you enjoy them? And also let me know what beautiful or interesting books that you have got between August and September. As always, links to my other social media will be listed down below, and if you have not already, please do subscribe, join our family, you'll be most warmly welcome. And until the next video guys, bye-bye. So now that we are well into 2015, I thought so far we could do a review of the things that I have watched in 2015, and I'm going to break this up into two parts.